As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Happy Wednesday, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and today we're going to be talking about the insanity of COVID. It's ridiculous that it's April of 2022 and we're still talking about this. The CDC just announced that they are going to extend the mask mandate for an additional 2 weeks to be concerned and monitor about the uptick in COVID cases. What does that mean exactly? Only 2 weeks? We've been dealing with this for 2 years. Another 2 weeks is not going to give any more data points that we actually need to know that, hey, on public transportation, if that's the only place that you have to wear a mask, probably you're okay not to wear a mask. And in fact, I was just flying here and back to New York this weekend, and it's so frustrating that in an airport and on an airplane is literally the only place that I have to wear a mask. It doesn't make sense, but trust the science. So someone who has been absolutely brilliant at trolling all of these ridiculous sorts of rules and also the local guidelines and even for the local school boards with the transgender debate is Alex Stein, who actually identifies more as a political centrist, not necessarily a conservative, but he, like Bill Maher, actually sees the total illogic of all of this from the leftists and how they just want to have control. So if you haven't seen all of his videos that are primarily on Twitter, take a look at this.
Hi. I was wearing a mask. Hi, my name is Marty Epstein, and the reason I am here today is because I am offended! The Dallas Cowboys have a very problematic name, as it is not gender neutral. Also, Cowboys killed Indians. That makes them murderers. We have already changed the name of the racist Indians, and now it is time for the Cowboys to do their part for the greater good, to protect our democracy. The city of Dallas should not represent murderers. I see no difference as if they were to be called the Dallas Donald Trumps. This alone is sexist and racist, and I demand that action be taken immediately because I said so. My solution is that we rename the Dallas Cowboys to the Dallas Gay Boys so that everyone can be happy because I'm all about peace, love, kindness, and equality.
So joining me now is the man himself, Alex Stein. And Alex, just a few minutes before you came on air with me here, we were talking about how I think you're absolutely brilliant to troll the left with this kind of comedy that is just so over-exaggerated that it shows how the left is completely ridiculous in their talking points. But the thing is, so many people on Twitter actually believe that you're sincere and that you're one of them when you're going to these school board meetings, and I think it's hilarious.
Wow, Jenna, I really appreciate that, but I'm definitely not brilliant. I'm a big idiot, but this is what I was just telling you right before we talked, just, in the intro when we were introducing ourselves. Listen, I really don't have to be brilliant because the left has gone so crazy. They've gone to, literally Looney Tunes land is where we live in. I don't even have to come up with these bits. I can just hold up a mirror to whatever Don Lemon says or whatever Brian Stelter says, and that is comedy. And you made a good point, is all the people that believe it, that was a big part of it. My hero is a guy named Andy Kaufman, and he's a big comedian back in the day, and he'd always blur the line of reality and fiction. And for me, that's what I want to do. I want people to think it's real. I want people to be like, oh my God, these people are so crazy. And then people like you that are in on the joke, because it makes the joke multi-layered. So yes, that's my favorite part, is when people think it's 100% real.
Yeah, and I had several people send me some of your work, and they're like, "This can't be real. Look at this crazy guy who speaks." And then, and it was hilarious because it was totally trolling them, but at the same time was just maybe a little bit slightly exaggerated persona of some of these crazy people who go to these meetings. So, which one was your favorite, and what do you think has gotten the best reaction so far?
Okay, well, just randomly, my favorite one is the one where I did a rap about Ukraine. And the reason why that is my favorite one, just because it went so viral, and this is why, though, is that one really resonated with kids. I can't tell you how many people that they're adults are like, oh, my daughter showed me that video, or my son showed me that video. And that makes me feel good because these kids they're the future. They're the ones that are the most getting indoctrinated.
I'm the proof when I'm in the booth, spitting on the mic. Anti-vax. Putin hates all of them blacks. Putin is a bad racist. Put him in the ground, white or brown. And I'm in plain old town. And you know you just got found. I'm a pimp on a blimp. Eating lots of steak and shrimp. No, you can't stop my shine. I'm number 99. And you know I grind and shine. And you know I do it all the time. One more time, I'm teaching class. This is your whole pass. Zelensky is a VIP. Ukraine and I go insane. Put a bullet in Putin's brain. You know that is the plan. I'm a Zelensky stan. I love you, Vladimir Zelensky. You are so smart. What's the smell? Did somebody fart? No way. What can you say? Vaccinate me straight or gay. I love you, and I love to rhyme and grind all the time. And you got that sanitizer, and you know I got that Pfizer. You know I stick it in my vein. Put a bullet in Putin's brain. Do it for the Ukraine. Before I go insane, let me antibacterial my body at the party, sipping Bacardi. You know the flow. And I am a pimp, cause I am on the blimp. Eating lots of steak and shrimp. One more time, I'm 99. And you know I grind and shine. Gas price is way too high. Vladimir Putin needs to die. Gas price is way too high. Vladimir needs to die. I'm the truth in the booth. Take my picture. I'm a winner. I'ma eat you for dinner. Okay.
You want to go to?
I just want to say, I love you. We need to take out Vladimir Putin, like Lindsey Graham said. Thank you, Mayor Mullins. I appreciate the time. Peace. God bless you all. Primetime Stein on Instagram. Thank you.
We got you down. We got you down.
So, and they're also the hippest. Kids are hip, so they realize. There's a little spider right here. Sorry. They realize what is going on. I know, I don't want to get bit by it. What I'm saying is these kids, if they are enjoying it, then I know that my audience is usually adults. So when I get the chance for kids like, oh, we think this is funny, we think it's cool, then in my mind, I'm kind of feeling, I'm not trying to virtue signal, but it's like, oh, wow, maybe kids are waking up to this propaganda. And maybe they realize like that we need to laugh and we don't need to be so serious. Because can you imagine the way we've treated with these COVID protocols, what they've done to kids? They've made kids just live in constant fear. They think they're going to die of a virus. And I'm not saying, you can't die of a virus, but it's just constant trauma-based mind control. So we need to have more levity. We need to laugh instead of just scaring people into submission, Jenna.
Absolutely. And I think you're so right about kids who see through all of this. I mean, it's like the kid in The Emperor's New Clothes and all of that, just where the kid is the only one who actually pointed out the truth because he didn't have to go with the politics of the day and be subservient to the tyrant. And so, as you're looking, Alex, at comedy and you're looking at this line that you described between kind of blurring it between reality and satire, is it almost hard this day and age because the left is so ridiculous that you have to go to such extremes to make satire seem like it's satire because the left is such a comedy show?
No, it really is, but it almost kind of makes it easier because the left is always about political correctness, and there's a huge void in comedy now. Like, you look at Saturday Night Live, it used to be even 3 or 4 years ago, really probably 5 years ago, every Monday there was a viral video from that Saturday show. There was something cool that everybody shared. But now comedy is becoming about intersectionality. It's about checking a box, a lot like how Ketanji Brown Jackson was a Supreme Court justice because she checked the box of being black. You know what I mean? And then I'm not saying that, I would want a black Supreme Court justice. That's the biggest thing. I don't like when they're like, conservatives wouldn't want a black Supreme Court justice. Conservatives would love a black Supreme Court justice. They don't want somebody that's just
Justice
easy.
Thomas.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. He's our favorite justice. But what I'm saying is, it's about comedy has become where it's about checking an intersectionality box before it is about creating content. So for me, If there were still people out there with these huge Hollywood budgets, if they were actually, pushing the envelope and not being politically correct, you wouldn't even know about me. But because there is a huge void, and I'm able to fill that void, so for me, it's actually working good. The political correctness is working good. Now, overall for society, I don't think it's good. I think comedy's, overall in the decline. But for me, it's been beneficial because I can literally fill that void by just regurgitating the loony left's ideas and throwing it right in our faces.
Yeah, and that's such a great point, Alex, that I think comedy from where we used to have just, everybody could be made fun of. And it was sort of this equal opportunity, like the golden age of the Jon Stewarts. And, I used to love watching The Daily Show in college and just saying, he would speak truth with some humor, and he would make fun of everybody. Even though obviously he wasn't a conservative, he would make fun of everything.
Let me cut you off. I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off. I know it's your show, but Jon Stewart just recently said that in this day and age, he wouldn't be able to do his show because it would be considered disinformation. And I agree with him. And now Jon Stewart's politics stink, but I love Jon Stewart. I love Steve Carell. I love The Daily Show. That was such a good show. And you and I now we're more conservative. So it's funny how comedy made us. It's like the sugar that made the medicine go down. That kind of got us to be, I guess, more progressive, as I'd like to call it. So so I'm saying that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm just trying to borrow a page from the Jon Stewart book and do it on the conservative version. So you nailed it with that analogy, Jenna.
Well, thank you. And, and it's only because I've always loved Jon Stewart, but now, you look at Trevor Noah, he's just not funny. And some of these people, like Jimmy Fallon even, used to be funny. He used to have things that everybody, regardless of your political beliefs, it didn't matter. We could all put the news aside and come and actually just laugh. I mean, it used to be like sports, where everybody wanted that escape and say, we want to go and just cheer for Team USA and Team America. And now it's become everything is proliferated, not only with politics, but with this woke ideology. And so where do you think comedy is going in the United States when it seems like the left refuses to allow us to laugh anymore?
Well, you're right. I mean, I think it's really going in the dumpster. But like, look at this. The new, I think it's called The Beast of Dumbledore movie, and this is it's a movie that has like gay characters in it, and I think it's a Disney owned. But in China, they had to edit out the all the innuendos, all the gay innuendos in the movie. So what I'm saying is the reason why is we have this left side that is so hypocritical, but the Disney will say, oh, we got to donate all this money, and we got to put all these political action committees against the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, yet that same company will appease whatever the culture is in a foreign country. So really, the only way that we get comedy back is if we really hold these huge comedy content creators accountable, whether it's Disney, whether it's Viacom, whether it's NBC, it doesn't matter. So until we actually hold them accountable and make them actually, treat us the same as they treat other countries, or at least just, give us what we want, some unpolitical correctness. Like you nailed it, Jimmy Kimmel. He used to be so funny. Howard Stern was a role model of mine. Now Howard Stern stinks. Jimmy Kimmel stinks. Like they are just unfunny. So when you look at guys at one point were considered the top comedians, and now people with half a brain hate them or can't even listen to them, I think comedy is on a huge decline. So until we call out these companies like Disney for being hypocrites, it's only going to continue to go in the gutter.
Yeah, make comedy great again. That's the mantra.
Maca! I'm going to make hats. Make comedy great again or whatever. I mean,
yes.
Macaga, I don't even know. I mean, it's so stupid, but seriously, comedy shouldn't have to die under this social justice warrior guideline of being politically correct. And I'm not saying that I want to say the N-word. I don't want to, attack people. There is some civility in life. We don't really need to be overtly mean, but we shouldn't be afraid of saying what we want to say. We should be able to, at least with comedy, push the limits. But now in this day and age, they don't even want to push the limits. They have to be so safe, and comedy's not meant to be safe. It's meant to be a little dangerous.
Yeah, and it's meant to push the envelope and actually express what people are thinking so that we all laugh at ourselves and so that we also laugh at the people in control. I mean, and that's where I think it's interesting as well that this, the philosophy behind this, and in my theater class back in college, this was like one of two things I took away from it, right? But one of the things that my professor said was that in civilizations that don't allow for comedy against the regime are the ones that are the first ones to be silencing free speech, because if you can't make fun of the people in power, then they are trying to suppress our independent thoughts and our ability to push back on them in genuine ways, not just laughing at them. That's like the first thing to go. And so what does that tell you as well with the Will Smith incident? Like, I got to bring this up because everybody's still talking about it. To me, the joke was a little bit tasteless, just because it was Jada's health issue. But at the same time, it was so benign compared to what so many other comedians say, the crassness that's in Hollywood these days. And I just really personally didn't think it was that big of a deal. And now all of a sudden, everybody in Hollywood is, recontemplating what comedy means and how, Chris Rock crossed the line and Will Smith has now been, suspended for 10 years from the slap. I mean, this kind of went from something that should have been a blip on the Academy's radar to now this international incident.
Well, don't even get me started. I'm a conspiracy theorist, and Pfizer got they had an alopecia medicine that came out the same day as all of that. This slap heard around the world happened. But I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying there's a conspiracy with that. That makes my antenna go up.
Conspiracy theorists are fine by me because we're usually the ones that just predict the news 6 weeks in advance. So we're good.
Exactly. Just give a conspiracy enough time, it'll become real. But this is what I'm talking about, the Will Smith thing. This is why he had to do it, in my opinion, Jenna. Is you have Jada Pinkett Smith, who's always doing her Red Table Talk, and in her Facebook show or whatever platform it's on, she talks about how she cheats on Will Smith and how she had extramarital affairs with friends of her sons. And so he is publicly embarrassed. No man likes that. Even if they do have some sort of open relationship, which I don't know if that's the case, you would not like to be publicly humiliated by the person you love the most, the mother of your children. Yet this is the typical American aspect, though. Instead of him getting upset with her and facing that problem, he goes after the people that attack her. It's very similar to what Hillary Clinton did when Bill Clinton cheated on her. Hillary Clinton went after these women instead of, going after the source, Bill Clinton. So this is the problem with it. It's just more Hollywood hypocrisy on both sides. People want a virtue signal for Chris Rock. Oh, we're not allowed to say jokes anymore. And then people are like, but you should stand up for your wife under any circumstance. Well, Will should have stood up for his wife a long time ago before she started sleeping with other men. And then Chris Rock should be able to say whatever he wants without the fear of getting hit. So it's this very nuanced situation that is not black and white, but the media wants to make it black and white because they want to pit us against each other and they want us talking about something that doesn't have a clear answer. Because seriously, Jenna, if you were my wife and somebody said something about you, I should defend your honor. But at the same time, it's a joke. You should also be able to take a joke. So it's a nuanced situation, and it's just meant to divide us. And I really hate it because now Chris Rock is virtue signaling. His tickets doubled in price, and he says he's not gonna have an expose about it until he gets paid a lot of money. Was his exact words in his recent comedy show. So everybody benefits.
Which is not comedy.
Yeah, which is not comedy. I'm just saying everybody benefits except for us. Both Will Smith and he's out of the Academy Award for 10 years. It's probably does my favor. It's probably annoying to go to those award shows. He's probably happy. I don't think they revoked his Academy Award, so he's still an Academy Award winner. We probably did him. Everybody wins except for us.
Yeah, and that's a great point, is that all of these, woke leftists, the regime, the politicians, the people in control, it seems like everybody wins except for the ordinary American people who just want to laugh at the end of the day, who just want to live our lives in peace and have, $1.50 gas instead of $7. We don't want to have the, 8.5% inflation. We don't want to have to deal with all of this stuff that Joe Biden is doing and the whole administration. I mean, it's not even Biden at all. But, I actually thought, speaking of Biden, the best comedy moment recently was the bird yesterday.
Of course! See, that's where we're at in comedy. Is the best thing is when a bird poops on our president and everybody cheers, and I cheered it. You should not cheer that. We should be happy because that is some sort of symbolic gesture that kind of shows you what everybody's feeling. But this is what makes me so mad about the inflation. I get that we have inflation. It makes me sick. But what makes me even more sick is the cover-up is always worse than the crime. The fact that they're trying to blame it on Putin when any graph will show you, any inflation graph, it started as soon as he got into the White House. So he is to blame, and they're trying to obfuscate the truth. I know that's a hard word to say, but they're trying to hide the truth that he is responsible for our $10 gallon of gas that's going to happen in California, and people aren't doing anything about it. The people on the left, a lot of these rich people like Shannon Sharp, he's an ex-football player that is on ESPN, he said, oh, well, I'll pay $20 a gallon of gas as long as I don't have Trump in the office. Forget about it. I'll take mean tweets over $10 gallons of gas any day of the week. But these people will lie to your face and say, oh, it's worth it, or it's Vladimir Putin's, instead of addressing what's really causing our issues.
Right. And of course, he's at the point where he can do that. And he's not recognizing that for the average American, that's actually kind of a big deal. And so it's such an elitist move, and it's so out of touch with the common American. And this just fundamentally goes against the entire premise of what our country was founded upon, Alex, and recognizing that our government should be of the people, by the people, for the people, not this establishment that thinks that they're entitled to power, and all of these elites that are the influencers of power and, the gateway to all of these different concerns. And so I hope that you are really successful with comedy. I love that these new platforms like, the Joe Rogans of the world, like even the Alex Joneses, and also, in the comedy sphere, people like you, because so many Americans are just rejecting all of this legacy media in all different spheres, including comedy. They're turning it off and they're rejecting it because it's simply not fulfilling. It's not funny. So they're looking for alternate people to listen to who actually are just funny and who can make fun of the culture in an accurate way that is just genuinely entertaining. So where can people find you? How can they support your comedy? And like I said, you are one of my new favorite people to follow.
Wow, Jenna, that's so nice. Okay, but I got to end one quick point that you want to make. When you talk about these politicians, is now that I've gotten some clout and people are noticing me, like you compared me with people like Joe Rogan, Alex Jones. That's really nice of you. But I have to say this: now a lot of the meetings I go to, they're changing the procedure. They're trying to end the public comment, or they're trying to make it shorter. So what I'm trying to say is, whenever these politicians get in office, they think all of a sudden that we work for them. That's not the case. They work for us. So we need more people to go out and call them out to their faces. So I really appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate you giving me a platform, and I really appreciate you spreading the truth. But somebody watching this, you can make the difference too. You can be like Jenna. You can be like myself. You just need to not live in fear and create content, because like she said, there's such a void. Nobody wants the mainstream agenda. Nobody wants that junk. So there's a huge void for people like yourself and myself to create content. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Jenna, and I really appreciate you having me on. And guys, if you can't find me, you're not looking. I'm on every platform a million times over. So if you can't find me, you're, like I said, you're not looking.
Yeah, and Alex, that is such a great encouragement to everybody watching, because so many people will say that to me or say that to other people who do have a platform, and they go, well, I'm not as much of an influencer. Well, guess what? I started just as a lawyer from Colorado who loved the Constitution and started speaking up, started speaking out, and started, just going on my local radio show. And, by the grace of God and some amazing open doors, here I am. But that didn't happen just overnight, and it didn't happen without the willingness to just stand up and say, you know what, there aren't enough people who are speaking into these issues, and I can make a difference, and I can start small and hopefully grow my platform. And that's exactly what you've done as well. And, you are hugely successful. We want to make you even more successful. And I think that everyone can do that, and they can use their influence in the circles and the spheres and in all of the categories and all the subject matters that they feel the most passionate speaking up, whether it's parents, whether it's, comedy or law or politics or whatever else it is, the biblical worldview. All of that stuff matters, and all of that is necessary to continue free speech and continue the conversation. So I hope that everybody watching will follow Alex on his platform, support him, support great comedy, and come by anytime, Alex. It's so great to finally talk.
Jenna, I want to do it again. You're so nice. And guys, just be unapologetically yourself. Be like Jenna. Try to be like me. I'm not necessarily a role model, but just be yourself in this day and age where the world where they want you to fit inside of a box. Don't capitulate to the masses. Just be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are a role model in that. So, don't sell yourself short with that. And I look up to you as somebody who's an amazing comedian. So thanks so much, Alex. And anytime, come back on, and really appreciate the conversation.
We'll talk soon for sure.
Good.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks.